Hello, welcome back to Inside the Church. Father Mark here, continuing our tour looking at different aspects of St. Anthony Parish Church. And today we look at one we probably don't think about too much. Pews and Kneelers, we probably take them for granted, but if we had to kneel on the ground, we'd probably appreciate them more. But they speak to kind of a reality that you hear people joke around that it's like Catholic gymnastics when you come to a Mass, especially if it'd be like your first Mass. You just see people sitting and standing, you see them lunging at different times, you see them kneeling. There's all kinds of movements going on. And it kind of speaks to reality, a depth of Catholic sensibility, that we take very, very seriously the incarnation of Jesus. That we believe that Jesus is true God from true God, who took on our flesh. That we are embodied spirits, that we're body and soul. As somebody once put it, I heard, was that God gave us a brain. He expects us to use it. God gave us a body. He expects us to use it, that we're body, mind, spirit. That's how we worship. That God expects us to use all that in our worship and to use it for good. And so just want to run through kind of some different movements that we do and kind of the profound spirituality. That first of all, that when we come into the church, we genuflect in the pew towards the tabernacle. We're acknowledging that Jesus is the King of Kings. That I long to submit my life not in this forced obedience, but I long to surrender my life, kneel down, to trust Him, to find His plan for my life, to become His servant because He elevates me, He loves me, He guides me, He's the Good Shepherd. And then I kneel down in front of our Eucharistic Lord and prepare for Mass. And then during the Mass, there's different moments where we stand, where we sit, where we kneel. And one way to think of that standing is, being in the military, if someone important comes in the room, you have to stand at attention. And so we stand at the beginning of Mass because the priest is not just another person. Especially at the Mass, the priest represents Christ the head. That we have come to be fed and nourished by Jesus. And so the priest enters and starts Mass. We're coming to begin this great dialogue with Christ. And that speaks to another dimension of worship. That worship is not entertainment, it's prayer. We're not coming here to be entertained. We're coming to have a dialogue with Christ the head, Jesus, and to be fed and to nourish by Him. And then during the readings, we sit so that we can soak in more of the Word of God. And then during the Eucharistic prayer, we kneel. And that speaks to the profound faith that we have in the Eucharist. If the Eucharist is just bread and wine, then what we do when we kneel is idolatry. If it is not the real presence of Jesus, then there's no reason that we should kneel. Kneeling is only for God alone. And so by kneeling down before the Eucharist, we're acknowledging that this is truly the real presence of Jesus. And we certainly have not made that up. And that comes straight from the Last Supper discourses where He says, "Do this in memory of me." And of course, look at John 6. That whole chapter is on that His flesh is true food. His blood is true drink. And so there's these beautiful things that we acknowledge the incarnation. We acknowledge that we're embodied spirits. And we acknowledge that we've come here not to be entertained, but we've come here to worship. We've come to bring our sacrifices. We've come to praise. We've come to kneel down before Christ the head and receive His nourishment and His strength to follow Him. And so until next time, God bless.